Hello and welcome to my new video. This is another play and chat video, and this is Killzone Shadowfall on the PlayStation 4. I absolutely love this game. Killzone tends to be one of those games that people sort of either love or hate. But I've really liked it since playing the first game on the PlayStation 2. And I think this series has actually got progressively better as time has gone on. And I love playing this game. I'm playing an offline bot match, and the reason why I'm doing that, I mean, I have played this online and I have really enjoyed it. But it was just really to try and showcase some of these absolutely gorgeous environments in the game. It really does showcase the PS4 quite nicely. By the time YouTube will have got hold of this and done its various processes and so on and so forth, it won't look anywhere near as good. I don't think anyway. I don't think videos tend to look anywhere near as good on YouTube of modern day games consoles, because by the time it's been, I don't know what they do, they use the compression methods they use and so on and so forth. The picture quality does tend to degenerate. I noticed that with the last PlayStation 4 video that I posted. It looked quite considerably inferior to what had actually been captured by the PlayStation 4. But I mean, I think that's kind of par for the course, and I mean the file size that these things tend to be are quite large as well. So, you know, for free service, it's kind of understandable. But at least, you know, you still should get some kind of an idea. What's actually kind of unique is the fact that the Killzone Shadowfall actually has some colour in it. I mean, as you can see here, you know, that there's sort of some vibrancy to the colours compared to a lot of shooters. A lot of shooters, I think they sort of, I don't know if this is the right phrase, and I'm sure people who are have more expertise in film or photography or whatever will correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of games tend to have a very desaturized look to them, or a washed out look is maybe the right word, where colour seems to be drained out of the game. It always seems funny to me that back in the sort of 80s and 90s, the number of colours a console or computer was capable of displaying was a key factor in how powerful it was. And it was something that the manufacturers of the computers and consoles used to boast about. You know, how many, first of all, it was, you know, how many, well, I mean, usually, I mean, back in the early days, it was probably something like 4 or 8 colours on screen at once, then it became a few hundred, then a few thousand, and then probably, I don't know, a few million, I guess. And then nowadays, they don't even bother. Because I think they basically can put any colour they want on screen. I'm probably wrong, but the techie side of these things tends to go way beyond me. But it's kind of interesting that now, you know, so many games we've seen, particularly first-person shooters and that type of stuff, actually seem to drain the colour out of games as they go for this kind of gritty, realistic look. I don't know, I think the world is quite colourful. I don't ever think it looks kind of realistic. It always looks washed out. So it's kind of refreshing to see a game that's not afraid to have colour where it's appropriate, and it really does make a difference. It was almost kind of jarring when I first played this level. It was like, whoa, this is really colourful, because there are levels in this in Killzone which do seem to be quite washed out. So it was, you know, it was kind of a bit of a shock really when I first came across it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just quickly going back, I have played this online properly with random people, and I actually really enjoy it, which is quite unusual for me. I'm not a huge fan of online multiplayer, but Killzone is considerably more slow-paced, certainly more so than, say, for example, Call of Duty. I would say possibly it's even slightly slower than Battlefield 4, that type of game. I'm not 100% sure. It's always difficult to tell, really. I mean, it's not a run and gun type game. There is a higher degree, higher tactical element to this game than there is, say, to Call of Duty. And one of the good things in the multiplayer that I like about this is they have included like a safe haven where you spawn. There's like some shields which the enemy can't get past, and also you have these turrets as well that will just tear anybody apart that enters your safe zone where you spawn. Now you can set these little spawn points up on the battlefield, and obviously you're vulnerable there. There was a turret there you just quickly saw as I passed through that shield thing, and that stops people spawn camping. And spawn camping ruins so many first-person shooters online for me. I hate it. I mean, there's no, if somebody gets to your spawn point and they just sit there gunning you down the moment you spawn, there's no skill to that, and it gets boring really quick, and I can't be bothered with that. It doesn't interest me. So yeah, I mean, it's a neat idea and it solves the problem, and it's a little bit of fun as well, because anybody that happens to go near your base just gets torn to shreds by machine gun fire, and that happened to me quite a few times when I first started playing this, because I didn't know that they were actually fixed turrets. I just thought they were turrets that the enemy bad guys had placed. So yeah, it's well worth checking out, and as you can see on this map as well, it is an absolutely gorgeous game. It really does showcase what the PS4 can do. So quickly moving on to other stuff that I want to briefly mention. It's nice to see Microsoft taking Kinect out of Xbox One. I think it's a positive step for them. It's brought the price down of the console, possibly not quite as much as I thought it would have done, but I guess they've got to try to leave themselves a bit of room to manoeuvre for any kind of future price cuts. If they cut the price too much, and then, if they cut it by £100 and then Sony responded, where they're going to go from there? So they've kind of matched the price now of the PS4, which was, for the time being, I mean, that's fine. I think having a healthy console rivalry in the market is really important, and actually this generation has proved that. When Sony came out at E3 and basically said we're going to give the gamers what they want, and everyone was there cheering, yay Sony, Microsoft went away and reversed the policies that were initially the really unpopular policies, such as the DRM and the always-on connectivity, and actually Kinect having to be plugged in all the time. They stripped all of that out, and I know some people are unhappy about that, but Microsoft don't want to fail in this console generation. They don't want to suddenly be left lagging far behind their competitors, because at the end of the day, they're a business, and if Xbox fails, then there's going to be no more Xbox. We've already lost Sega as a console manufacturer. A lot of people keep saying Nintendo should stop and all of this, which I don't agree with at all. So competition's really, really important, and if both the major console manufacturers are certainly the two that face off against one another the most, because Nintendo kind of have their own little world. If they both, are successful, they kind of keep each other honest, because it means that there's not going to ever be one console that's dominating the market that then can dictate to gamers, because then what can you do? People didn't like Microsoft's policy, so they can buy a PS4 because doesn't have those same policies in it. But what happens if there isn't an option? You like it or lump it, and most people will force themselves to like it just so they can play games. So having the competition there is really important. So I'm glad they're taking affirmative steps. They're not sort of sitting back and being stubborn and waiting until it's too late. They're taking affirmative steps now, and fair play to them. I understand that for early adopters who didn't want Kinect, that it's a real pain in the arse. I mean, I could never understand why Microsoft forced Kinect down people's throats in the first place. I know they had a vision for Xbox One, but you've got to be really careful when it comes to forcing hardware like that on people, because it's not, the core gamers don't tend to go in for the Kinect. They don't tend to go in for that kind of stuff. Some do, quite a lot don't. And the technology you know, he's pretty hit and miss. It works well for some people, it doesn't work well for others. I think it's very sensitive to the environment that you've got the console set up in. So to put something like that in and not give people the chance of buying a cheaper version of the console without it, I think was a mistake. I know why they did it, but I still think it was a mistake, and I'm just glad they've rectified it. And if you're an early adopter, that is often the price you pay. If you're going to buy a console at launch, you have to be prepared for the fact that, you know, better deals and a better setup may be around the corner, a better bundle may be around the corner. That's just the nature of the beast. It's not always good, it's not always clever, but it's how it's always been. It's never been any different. You know, go right the way back to Commodore 64. You know, when that first came out, it then became cheaper, had better bundles, you name it. Anyway, that's all I'm going to ramble on about in this video. Yeah, thanks for watching. This has been Killzone Shadowfall on the PlayStation 4. Hope you enjoyed the video, and please stay tuned to my channel for more to come.